right, everybody, it's Anthony Brogdon. I'm coming at you strong, Lee, stronger, strongest, strongerness, the loads, the everything. I'm coming at you. I ain't playing with you. I got a guy on the channel. He's a good-looking brother. He's in that UK, United Kingdom. And he's, let me tell you something. I don't know how I found him, but I did, and I'm happy I did because he's on the case. He send me stuff, emails about what he's doing and that kind of thing. And I am extremely impressed with this young man, extremely impressed. And you'll hear through the accent. I'm sure he got connections, with Africa and the Caribbean and all that over there on the other side of the pond from where I am in the US of A. And I'm excited that he's here. So hit the subscribe button to Strong Inspirations. It's free. My numbers is up. Everybody, I thank all my subscribers. Because what it does is it let me know you like me and I like you already, and there's nothing you can do about it because I know you're watching me. Hit the like button on this video. You're going to be very impressed with him. You're going to like what he says. He's going to enlighten your mind. Watch out. Hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up, because just recently I put up a video because I'm expanding a little bit of my content. All of it has a Black history flavor, but I just did 2 interviews with people who talk about healthy foods and foods out of Africa, foods that went from Africa to Brazil and the Caribbean, foods that have translated from those parts to America, what slaves ate, what's healthy food, how to do urban gardening and vegetables and things of that sort. So watch those videos on the channel. Watch the video I got with the brother out of Johannesburg, South Africa, because this international thing is what I'm doing. I'm covering all of it. And he is out of Johannesburg. He has a TV show that telecasts throughout the continent of Africa. Watch that video. Watch the one that I did, and I'm kind of getting close to where this gentleman is out of the UK. Watch the video I did with the lady who, she is the president of the Genealogy Society for the UK. And before her, there was no Black person in that position. It wasn't set up for Black people to find and trace their family heritage. She said once they gave her the job, she said, I'm going to flip the script on them. I'm helping Black people in the UK find out where we are and where we came from. Watch that video. Watch the one that I did with the lady out of Australia. Right, Australia. I didn't know Australia was a continent first inhabited by Black people. And then white folks came in, invaded, and then the story changes, and now we don't know the truth until you watch that video. Watch the one that I did with the lady out of Ireland. That's right, Ireland. Didn't know there was Black history in Ireland. Yep, but it is, and she talks about it and how they found out some of them slave traders that made a ton of money out of Ireland. They put monuments in their honor. They said, hey, we taking them down, and they did in Ireland. So watch that video. I'll come on, my brothers and my sisters. I'm not playing with you. This thing has gone serious. And I'm so grateful that this young man has come on the channel. Let's see, the other thing that I want to tell you is that I do have a movie out. I don't have the DVD here with me, called Business in the Black. It's streaming on Amazon, and you can watch it in the UK. Go to Business in the Black. It's on UK Amazon. And I have a book out titled Black Business Book. Both of them deal with the rise of Black business in America. And you can read my book in the UK. It's on Amazon UK. It's in Kindle, e-reader, but it's available there. I'm coming to the United Kingdom soon. And maybe this year, because Black History Month over there is in September, as I remember. And so they're celebrating it
October.
all over. It's when?
October.
October. Yeah, October. I think, I know it's coming up. And so y'all hear me use this word strong a lot. Strong is my favorite word, and I'm gonna use it in this regard. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to my guest today. Come on, strong man, introduce yourself and let's get it on.
Hey, Anthony, great to be here. Strong inspiration, strong.
Yes.
My name is Tolu A. Akiemi, known as Toludo, the Lion of Newcastle. I am a multi-award winning author. I am a Nigerian from the continent, from the motherland, Africa, and I'm based in the United Kingdom. I write in the genres of poetry, essays, short stories, and children's literature. And I have so far, I've written 14 books, published 14 books, and I have 6 forthcoming titles. And I particularly have a collection of poems titled Black Does Not Equal Inferior. And this is a profound message for the Black community that as Blacks, we are not inferior. It's not just a book, it's a book that looks at Black culture, looks at the Black person and tells that Black boy, Black girl, Black man, Black lady, and informs them of their uniqueness, tells them of their inner beauty, and to find strength in the midst of the chaos going on around the world. And as a Black person, we are not inferior. So that's the message in this poetry collection.
I love it.
I'm also a very strong inspiration to a lot of emerging writers, because they say they are saying what I've done so far, what I've achieved on my literary journey, and it's quite inspiring. So I'm happy to be on the Strong Inspiration show this afternoon.
Okay, let me do this though. Before we're gonna delve into your books. Let's go into you just a tad. You grew up where and what in Nigeria, you said, right?
Yeah, I grew up back home in Nigeria. Then I moved down to the UK about over a decade ago. Yeah.
Now, growing up in Nigeria, what city did you grow up in? The big city or urban town?
Yeah. So as a kid, I grew up in South. I grew up like in a city in the southwestern Nigeria. Then later on, I moved down to the commercial capital, which is Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah. So I've always been like in the southwestern part of Nigeria. Even though I've traversed around the country, I've lived briefly in the north, in the south, and just lived all around the country. But I grew up mainly in the big city. Yeah.
Okay. What did your parents do?
Yeah, so initially my parents, they were, my dad and my mom, they were both teachers, but my dad actually is now a chief executive of a stockbroking company, while my mom retired as a school principal. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you don't mind, I like this. I want to talk about this a little bit, though, so my viewers can understand. So you grew up in a big house, in a nice size house, in a nice neighborhood?
Yeah, so initially growing up, it wasn't like a bed of roses, we start off like from the bottom up, yeah, but eventually we pushed to the limits of like middle class, but initially it wasn't all a bed of roses,
Okay.
I remember growing up, and yeah, so it wasn't like, yeah, so it wasn't a bed of roses, we had to work our way up.
So did both your parents go to college?
Yeah, they did. They went to college.
Okay. Did your grandmother go to college?
And nah, they didn't go to college, only my parents. Yeah. Only my parents went to college.
What I'm getting at is, in Nigeria, you can come from meager means. You can come from like work in the field and not and be very poor, and then you can go to college. There's a way you can get in, and then you can excel to have something for yourself. That's correct? It's not like you were
Yeah,
always
so
born in it.
yeah, so the opportunities are like limitless, opportunities are endless, especially with education. Once you get yourself educated or you are educated, and the opportunity education gives us like access to like new opportunities, new vistas that people can access like opportunities globally. And so I think with education, you are able to unlock so many doors and opportunities.
But then on the other hand, when we think of maybe some countries that if your parents was in the government, then that's a whole nother sector, isn't it? Being and working for the government and being a part of that political party and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so basically we have people that they've all like entrenched working within the civil service, working for government, and so that could also come with its own perks depending on the kind of work they do for government. And we all know like working for government at times, especially probably the civil servants as well, there's a form of like institutionalized corruption within these types of environment.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so there are various avenues whereby people make a headway in society, and working for government is one of it as well. Being in the civil service, some people are politicians, so there are a lot of like different opportunities like to serve and to like contribute as well to the
Right.
making of society.
When you're growing up, did you see white people?
Yeah, it wasn't like all the time, but I remember like when I was working for like on the project that involved like working with foreigners, and I worked with like some foreigners on that project, and they like treated them like they were like some form of angels.
Okay, okay, okay,
So I had like, but it wasn't like everyday occurrence, like seeing white people. You only see them like in some exclusive areas. Yeah, so but it wasn't like every day. But where we had like foreigners, you would see that foreigners even had like more rights, more opportunities, even in our own country as well,
okay.
because a foreigner is actually valued much more than we who are even the citizens.
Is there a difference between light skinned and dark skinned Black people?
Well, I would say in Nigeria, there isn't much difference in relation to, either you are light skinned or dark skinned, but I think because, with the whole amalgamation of Nigeria and the fact that the British lumped us all together, different people, different, attitudes of life, different nationalities. We were never ever supposed to be one country, but the British, for their own selfish interest, lumped us all together just for their own gain. So I would say, in terms of, we have people, tribes that want to subjugate other tribes, even within the bigger context of a nation. So which is, there's a lot of genocide right now ongoing. Today we had the sad news of, a terror attack in a church in southwest Nigeria. So it's not the best, and that shows like every decision people make in terms of amalgamating countries, colonization, and all of that, it has like a greater impact because there has been a lot of genocide and a lot of issues even plaguing Nigeria up until this present moment, based on, the amalgamation of 1914.
How do I know now? Well, like, okay, for example, what tribe are you from?
Yoruba,
Uh,
Yoruba speaking tribe, yeah, of southwestern Nigeria, yeah.
what's the biggest tribe? Is there one tribe that's bigger and everybody is in that? What's the difference between the tribes? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so basically we have the north and the south. So we have southern Nigeria, we have the northern Nigeria, and within northern Nigeria, we have the northeast, north central, and northwest. And in the south, we have southeast, south, and southwest as well. So based on statistics that has been provided, which is always never accurate, the north is slightly like higher than, even though the north is like a desert area, arable and all of that. They claim to have more population than those of us from the south. So it's, but because there's a lot of corruption around census figures, population figures, so it's not something that we can really pinpoint to say, oh, this, but we always have issues around, tribal issues and some community. So the three major tribes are we have the Hausa, which now has the Fulani components, and the Igbos and the Yorubas. So those are the three biggest ethnic tribes in Nigeria.
How can you tell the difference between a person and what tribe they in? Do they wear different clothes, or do they have a different dialect or different language, or just where they live?
Yeah, so to tell the different tribes, different clothes, although English is the commonality that binds us all together. Well, like myself, I'm from the southwestern part of Nigeria, and we wear different clothes, different culture, different dialects, and the Igbos as well, and the Hausa Fulanis as well. They have their own different culture, different way of living and everything. So yeah.
Could you live in the territory of another tribe, or would you?
Yes, sure.
You could do that.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Would you worry about them trying to hurt you because you're from another tribe? Is there battles between the tribes?
Yeah, so right now, like we've had instances whereby very recently a Christian girl was killed for blasphemy. So and she was stoned to death and burnt to ashes because it was claimed that she blasphemed the holy prophet of Allah. So basically, if I were to live in the northern part, I would be traumatized because
Really?
someone might just see me and say, "Oh, you've blasphemed," and I'm stoned to death and I'm burnt. So a lot of people now don't sleep with their two eyes closed because of paging herdsmen and a lot of issues around terrorists attacking communities, invading communities, and we have a kind of leadership who look on, who do nothing about all of these things, and it's really a very traumatizing time for people back home.
People from let's go stay on your tribe. Are there give us an example of like customs that you all have, particular type of foods that you all eat, any of that, or holidays that you celebrate?
Yeah, so basically we celebrate so holidays, we celebrate Independence Day, which is like normal October 1 celebration of the country's independence. We also we celebrate Easter holidays. So we have some Christians across board, and we also celebrate the Ramadan festival, which is for the Muslims. So there are holidays that, even though it might be for a particular tribe, everyone takes the holiday as a form of peaceful coexistence and unity among the different ethnic nationalities that make up the nation called Nigeria.
Yeah, when you were in grade school, what time did school start?
Yeah, schools would normally start around, I think it was around 8 o'clock thereabouts, around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Yeah, 8 o'clock, 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning. Yeah.
And then what time was it over? 3 or 4 o'clock, just like it is in America?
They are about, around that time. Around 2, 3 o'clock.
How did you get to school? Were you able to walk to school? Did you have to take a bus, or how did you get to school?
Yeah, I just got dropped by my parents. My parents would like take me down to school back in the days. So as I grew up, like walked down home when I was in sex school, And
Okay.
later I was in boarding school as well. Yeah, so
Okay, we gonna get to the book. When did you start liking Black history?
yeah, like as a black as a black person in the UK, I see a lot of a lot of issues that I'm not particularly happy with as well in terms of the way, like, let me talk about the black corporate world in the UK. There's a lot of like attrition among black people. So this year alone, I'm like on my third job already, and it's because even when black people, I remember being in the leadership position about 2 years ago, and I was just one of the two or three black people in a room that had about over 50 people. So you will see that there's actually a big issue around lack of access, lack of opportunities. There's a lot of issues around gatekeeping. Interviews are conducted. You will find that in the corporate world a lot in the UK here, whereby jobs are advertised, but they already have candidates they want to like give these jobs to, but they're only just advertising these roles for audit purposes. So I began to like take a lot of interest in Black history when I saw a lot of racial discrimination, prejudice, bias in the workplace. And I saw that a lot of black people here, like in the US as well, a lot of Nigerians in the US, they are highly educated, master's degree, but you will find out that even with all of your education, a white person who has never been to school is going to be your team leader. So I began to delve more into the history. Then I began to see like, oh, this is
Okay.
this is a long this this is a long battle that's been on for so many years. And I began to take a stand and see
Okay.
myself as a writer who could make a change in my own little way. And
Okay.
yeah, so
I love it. Let me ask you this then. I'm gonna go back to Nigeria in this regard. Did Now being in Nigeria, because black people run it like they did, was it a culture shock for you to go from Nigeria to the UK where black people don't run things like they do over in Africa?
yeah, I would say in terms of it was a bit of a shock because, and I would say the shock was that we see that back home in Nigeria, resources are being mismanaged, and you come to the UK, you come to the US, and you see how developed these economies are. So I think it's more of like a shock in that regard as well, seeing like at times we talk about we say Black Lives Matter, even when we're in the UK, in the US, but when we go back home, there's a lot of black on black violence, there's a lot of black on black issues because black leadership failures as well, because the community back home, they are not doing, they are not being accountable to the people, they are not giving, they are not giving people back home opportunities, access to opportunities to liberate, to make Africa to become a force that, we talk about the West holding us back, but we back home as well, we are limiting our own people, we are
Okay.
not aiding our own development. So I say that was a big shock for me, seeing countries like this who are doing so much for their people, and going back home, we see a lot of retrogression and issues.
Let me ask you this. We're gonna go one more on that. Did you learn Black history when you were in Nigeria? Like, how old were you when you left Nigeria?
I left Nigeria around, I was around 28 years
Okay.
old when I left Nigeria. Yeah.
Okay. Did you know Black history in Nigeria and Africa? Did they teach that in the schools?
Oh, so in Nigeria, so back in the schools, history has been removed from the curriculum. So basically, they've taken out history. They don't want to teach history because our history is our history is quite challenging. So because of our history is probably a lot of challenges, but they don't really teach Black history back home in Nigeria. They used to teach a lot of political history, and but later on it was removed from the education curricula across board. because they don't want people to be oblivious of their history. So, and that way, it's quite easy to like whitewash criminals, people who
Okay.
have, siphoned our commonwealth and make them, the semi like heroes like paint a fairy tale story of heroes where they didn't exist.
So now when you go to the UK, do you know about slavery?
Yes, I know about slavery. Yes, so yeah, and I know about slavery from 1619 when the first Angola slaves landed, in the States, and yeah. So I've been following the slavery story about how a lot of African Americans were on cotton plantations, and in the States back then, how the 13th Amendment, where was fought. Slaves were part of the main force that fought, and just
Yes.
in a way to get them to know to gain their freedom, and so
Yes.
I've been following that issue quite a lot.
Do you know about Europe and the UK's involvement in slavery?
Yes, I know, and yeah, I've been following the UK UK's involvement in slavery, even back in Nigeria, back home in Nigeria, in the US, and even in America, Spain, France, the Netherlands, they played like a major part in the whole, colonization of America as well, and in the whole slave trade business. And even we see foremost, American leaders like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson being slaveholders as well. So I think it's a never-ending history
Sure.
of, and even back home in Africa, a lot of a lot of slaves, a lot of Africans were shipped down to Europe,
Yes.
and so the UK and the US, these are countries that were built with the sweat of slaves. We can't erase that from the history of America and the UK.
What do you want to teach people in your books?
So basically, I am a writer that writes solely about the human experience, and I wanted people to read my books and to be inspired to become better in their own area of influence. I wanted people to also believe in their own talents as well. That if Tolu Akinyemi can do this, then they also can do it in their own niche and even do it better. So that was the initial like message I wanted to pass out, that anything I can do, the young Black person out there can do it better. And my children's books, I wear self-confidence like a second skin, and I'm not a troublemaker. And another one that's going to be out next month. If you have to be anything, be kind. They are all with Black characters, because there are a lot of there's a lack of children's pictures books with Black characters across the world, and particularly in the UK, less than 5% of children's books have Black characters contained in these books. So when our children grow up, they don't see, when they open most of the books, they don't see that look like them. So I wanted to help these young ones to build their self-esteem, to build their
I love it.
self-confidence, and to believe in themselves as well. Because you see that even in the classroom, there's a lot of they face a lot of issues, a lot of prejudice, a lot of bias, a lot of issues concerning the color of their skin. So I think it's pertinent as writers, we have the voice in whatever way we can use our voice to like change the narrative, to change the landscape, and if it's just a little, we can play our part in it.
When you started writing the books, uh, first, I guess my first question is: was there somebody that told you don't do it? We don't need to hear those kind of stories. Uh, Everything is okay.
Basically, there was nobody who told me that, but especially based here in Newcastle, I found most times I found myself as the only black person in the room, as the only, I had to like fight for every opportunity. I had to like fight for every, chance to be up there. And yeah, so it wasn't easy being the only black person in the room, just having to like fight your way to get things done and work extra hard, whereby you see some other creatives where these opportunities are presented to them on a platter without like much effort to get it. But I didn't have voices that tried to talk me out of what I was doing. But there were times I could feel like people felt like, oh, he's coming to take over our territory,
Right,
coming to take
right,
over.
right,
Yeah, I could feel those vibes, I could feel
right.
those vibes. But I didn't let her hinder me or challenge me. I had my eyes set on the ball, on the goal. I knew what I
Right.
wanted, and here I am today.
Did you publish the book yourself, or did you find somebody to publish the book?
Yeah, so I have a publishing imprint where I publish other authors as well. The Rory Lion Newcastle is the name of the imprint. So I've published all my books through my imprint, and I've also published some other black authors on my imprint as well.
How do people there get your books?
So my books are available on Amazon, they are on Barnes and Noble, on bookshop.org, on the publisher's website, the Roaring Lion Newcastle.com, on my own personal website, tolutoludo.com. And I go to the market as well. I have a store in the market whereby I sell my books. So the community, they've been really supportive. They come out and they come out every Saturday when I'm at the market, just to buy my books, to support, buy my author's books as well. So it's been really it's really a great one in terms of getting the message out there to the community. And even a lot of the white people, they want to learn, so they buy Black Bozoico Imperial. They want to hear the message, and the feedback has been really good. We have seen a lot of feedback, people crying when they read it, because these stories, even though they are writing about race is always quite difficult, but these are important stories that we need to tell. These are our heart cries that the world needs to hear. So, and I think it's pertinent that we tell our own stories.
Is there an organization? Are there not one other organizations like um black writers in the UK, Association of Black Writers, black journalists, black business owners? Are you able to tie into those, or are there those type of groups?
Yeah, I'm a member of a few of those groups. Like, no, I've been to a couple of Black History Month events.
Okay.
I've done um, events in London, couple of events in London. I've done events in the local area in Newcastle. I'm in a couple of groups, the Black Authors Network. I've just been linked up to the UK Black Writers Forum. So just tying up here and there. I think a couple of months ago, I linked up to another very big organization in the UK who are involved in the Black History Month, like massive celebration of Black History Month in the UK. So I think it's just being able to like network with all of these various, individual bodies and see how we can tie into the collective goal of having more Black voices who are able to also inspire the upcoming generation, because I see like there's a lack of role model. We lack role models within the Black communities. That's why a lot of the youth take to crime, take to gun violence, take to knife attacks, and all of the ills in society. They paint they paint young Black people as a portrait of criminality. So, but where we come up and we are doing like great things in the community, then they see us as positive light, then they choose to like do positive things as well. If they see Anthony doing great stuff, they want to like emulate. So we need to like make a conscious approach to like have more role models within our communities, help,
I
help
got you.
have a culture of helping other Black people to rise in their career, not just
I got you.
being not just be the only one successful in whatever we do. We need to grow more Black business leaders who would in turn come along and mentor other
I
Black
got you. I love
upcoming
it.
upcoming young people to become, so we can have more mentors, so we can have a lot of Black young people doing great stuff even for our own community as well.
I are you are you scared of anybody because of you're trying to change the landscape? There's, you know what I mean? There racist groups that you have to worry about.
Nah, no, I don't, I don't actually worry about. I've had a couple of subtle attacks, or I've had even someone say, "Oh, we are building the art about
Yeah.
are building a story around." It's just some nasty comments about my Black does not equal inferior book, but the response has been mainly positive, and I don't really worry because it's these are our stories, like I said, and we have to tell these stories irrespective of who's God.
Are you familiar with the riots at Notting Hill?
Oh, sorry, come again.
Are you familiar with the riot at Notting Hill?
Oh,
There was a riot there. It's a quite a number of years ago because Black people moved to London and the UK from the Caribbean. White people got mad at them, and there was a riot. Are you familiar with that?
yeah, I think I've heard about the riot. Even in Black Does Not Equal Inferior, I wrote a couple of poems about Black about white people living communities because they felt like Black people are coming in and they're coming to take their land and coming to take their communities,
Yeah.
and it was a whole lot of like them moving out en masse from their communities because they didn't want to stay in communities with with
Yeah.
with Black people. And you will find out that in teaching Black history in the UK, they don't teach the whole story. You see them like just touching the surface. So in terms of when they talk about, it's just about they mainly read the biographies of prominent Black people, just talk briefly about the biography of Rosa Parks, talk about Nelson Mandela, Mary Seiko, talked about Martin Luther King, but they don't go into they don't deep dive into the details, just they are trying to downplay these issues, these stories, and just touching these issues on the periphery. And even when they talk about the abolishment of slavery in the UK, they don't tell us the story about them paying off slave owners for the loss of their properties, which happens to be human lives, the slaves. So they had to compensate them. So this they don't tell the whole story, which is also a very big issue as well.
As we kind of come to a close almost, give me a story that you do tell about somebody in the UK, a Black person who did something great.
Yeah, so in terms of a story of somebody of a Black person in the UK who did something really good. So for me, I would say I will come more recently to the Black Lives Matter movement, and
Okay.
that was sparked in the US and the protests all around the world, and in the UK we had we had an actor who stood up, who stood up, not minding the consequences, not minding what was going to happen to his career. And he had to stood up to the establishment to say, oh, damn the consequences, damn whatever these issues are. I'm ready to let go of my career. And I'm going to fight for my people. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to, Black lives really matter. And at that time, there were a lot of threats like, oh, you're going to lose your career, you're going to lose your endorsement, you're going to lose deals, you're going to get futures in Hollywood again and everything. But it stood his ground. So these are like really inspiring stories that young people can actually, they can resonate with. So I think I really find this like quite inspiring for especially young people in our schools, in our
Okay.
communities, and yeah.
Couple more. When you like, uh, tell us. Do you have all the books there that you can show us?
Okay, my own books or other books.
Your books.
Okay. Yeah, so I have this is a collection of poems, and it's titled A Booktiful Love. So it's a collection of poems that deal with the entirety of the human experience. I've written a collection of short stories, an award-winning collection of short stories, Inferno of Silence. And in this collection of short stories, the first story in the book is titled Black Lives, Black Lives Matter.
Okay,
And
I love it.
so it's about a football player who's left Nigeria for Europe, and all the old issues around Black Lives Matter and racial discrimination and
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
that,
sure.
all the challenges. Yeah, so that's a story in the collection of short stories. I also have other books like this is a collection of poems like Dead Cats, Don't Meow, Don't Waste the Nightlife. I have a collection of essays as well. This is titled Unravel Your Hidden Gems.
I love it. That's a big book.
Yeah, it's a really big book, over 80,000 words.
Yeah,
80,000 words. So this is my children's book. I am not a troublemaker.
I love it.
Yeah, I am not a troublemaker.
I love it.
Yeah, I have another children's book. This is titled I Wear Self-Confidence Like a Second Skin.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Then I have other collection of poems. I have Dead Dogs Don't Bark and They Don't Bite.
I love it.
This one is forthcoming. It's titled Awaken Your Inner Lion. And this is a collection of essays.
Yes. Now tell us about some of the awards that you've won.
So I won the book awards for the poetry category with my collection of poems, A Booktiful Love, in 2020. The same year as well. That was last year, and I also won the short stories category at the Indie Readers Discovery Awards, and I also won the Next Generation Indie Book Awards for my collection of short stories, Inferno of Silence. Yeah, Inferno of Silence.
Have you been able to get the books in schools? Are you trying to get something in the schools?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of work with some of the local schools in terms of my children's books, and yeah,
Yes.
so I think from time to time I always get like opportunities to come to schools to talk about my books and to do book signings as well. So I look forward to like working with schools from time to time and talking about the work that I do here.
Let me ask you this. I got two more things. One question is, did you see yourself being this kind of person did you fall into this? How did this happen for you?
Yeah, so since I was a little boy, young kid growing up back home in Nigeria, I used to journal a lot. And I think most of the journaling was just about, I used to follow a lot about the US political history and also Nigerian political history as well. I had like a keen interest. I used to read a lot of political books as well growing up, and I love reading fiction as well. So it's just been a natural progression from being a reader to a writer. So all my life, I've always loved to read books. Just, I used to be like very introverted, but I found comfort with books growing up. And I think it was that journey that led me from where I was back then to becoming the published author who has now won so many awards and who, who is now known all around the world.
Would you like to write a movie?
Well, it's new territory, but yeah, I could always have a go. New territory for me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always I always love new challenges and yeah, always open to opportunities to like challenge myself to do a lot of extraordinary work. But I know I remember growing up as a young boy, I wrote a script. I wrote a script for a movie back in the days. Even though I can't find it now, but I had the penchant for storytelling and script writing. Then this has brought me to where I am today. So many awards, so many books written, and being a very strong inspirational for a lot of upcoming writers as well.
I thank you so very much for coming on the show. Sharing your life story with us and your mission here at Strong Inspirations. Everybody hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up. And to you, I got two things. One is, I say this with all sincerity, I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind, keep writing, keep telling them stories, keep. Do you do a lot of public speaking? Are you able to do public speaking? I know you go to the schools. Is that the other part of what you want to do?
Yeah, so I've done a couple of yeah, I'm a public speaker. I've done a couple of public speaking events. I've done like locally here in the northeast of England. I've been to Italy for a public speaking
Oh,
event
I
as
love
well.
it.
Yeah, so I'm a public speaker as well because I have a lot of, my life itself is an inspirational story. And, when you see someone who's come from the back end of Africa to the United Kingdom with these amazing works, then there's actually a story behind this which the world needs to hear.
Yes.
So basically always like when the opportunity arises to speak at events, I always, speak. I've been at events where I spoke to business leaders, sharing my inspiration and sharing my talent. Dead Lions Don't Rule, finding your inner talent. How people can find their own inner talent, because I hear what people say, oh, I don't have talent, I can't do this, I can't do that. But every one of us, we are enormously talented. It's just left for us to awaken that
Yes.
inner lion, awaken that inner role,
I
and
love it.
find our own unique calling and gift as well.
Let's do one more thing. Recite one of your poems.
Okay, I'll do that. Then
Yeah,
I
you
know I
pick
was
one. I
thinking
mean, not the
about,
longest one, but pick one of your poems, and that's going to close us out, everybody.
okay. Yeah, so I know you were, you were asking me about the black person in the UK. I didn't mention the actor's name is John Boyega. John Boyega. Yeah,
Okay.
so he's actually the one that a lot of young people, black young people in the UK can resonate with now for the major and pivotal role he played during the Black Lives Matter protest in London. Yeah, so this poem is titled Black Voices. And I really love this. I really love this point because it resonates with me with the core of my soul because I hope
Okay.
you enjoy it. Yeah. Black voices. These black voices cannot be silenced. This chorus, anthem, and movement rattle the White House. These black voices are not a monotone. These cries come from the pan of racism. Today, they chorused Black Lives Matter to appease the gods of vengeance. They took a seat on the moving train and immersed it with more than 2 pints of dross before they unconsciously drifted back to the status quo.
Love it. That's gonna close out. What's your website so people can follow you?
Yeah, so you can find me out on tolutoledo.com. I'm also on toluakiyemi.com. My publishing website is theroaringlionnewcastle.com. I'm also the co-founder at Lion and Lilac. Lion and Lilac is a UK-based art organization, and you can find out more information about Lion and Lilac at lionandlilac.org. And also, you can check the newcastlereview.org. I'm the founder of the newcastlereview.org, where I tell stories from the time and beyond. All the art stories. If you're a writer, you want to share your stories with the world, you go press releases, whatever you want, an author interview, reach out. I'm all for promoting the Black community. So just reach out to me. I'm ready to do the work and ready to push our people beyond limits and to international boundaries as well.
I got one more question came up to mind. Are your parents still alive? Because do they know all the good things you're doing? And I know they're proud of you.
They are so proud. They are so proud. They are somewhere in the house now.
Yes.
They came on holidays. Yeah, they are alive, ill and active, pumping, and they are so proud. You know, they are so proud of all the exploits. Every parent wants to see their children do great stuff in their lifetime. Yeah, so they are super proud of all the exploits, and and I'm delighted for them as well.
Yes, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Anthony. No worries. Thank you for bringing me on to strong inspirations.
Yes.
Keep on being the strong inspiration to the community, Anthony. I love it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.